reached Patagonia during the tail end of winter, when the wind was sharp enough to sting and the sky looked like brushed steel. I hiked until the trail thinned into a narrow ridge overlooking a massive valley. The floor covered in low shrubs and scattered boulders shaped by centuries of storms. It was the kind of place where sound traveled strangely, sometimes vanishing, sometimes bouncing back as if the mountains themselves answered. I set up my tent near a jagged cluster of rocks that looked like broken teeth sticking out of the earth. The wind was relentless, but the view of the valley was worth every cold gust. As night fell, something strange began. The ridge started to hum, not loudly, just a vibration, a low resonance that traveled up through the stones and into the soles of my boots. At first I thought it was the wind echoing in crevices, but the rhythm was too steady. The hum rose, fell, pulsed, and then faded, only to start again minutes later. I stepped out with my flashlight scanning the rocks. The beam slid across the uneven stone surface, revealing only cracks and shadows. But the humming grew stronger, like the ridge itself was waking up. Suddenly, the wind stopped. Completely. No whistling, no movement. A stillness so abrupt it felt wrong. Then, something rose from the valley. Shapes, tall, thin, and drifting in slow arcs, moving as though drawn upward by invisible threads. They weren't human. They were too long, their limbs too fluid, their silhouettes bending in ways that defied joints. Their surfaces shimmered like moonlit water, changing shape with every step they took. They approached the ridge silently. When they reached the stone outcrops, the humming grew louder, vibrating through my chest. The shapes pressed their hands, or limbs, or whatever they had, against the rocks. The stone glowed faintly beneath their touch, pulsing in the same rhythm as the hum. I backed away slowly, trying to stay quiet, but the moment my heel scraped against the gravel, all the shapes froze. Every one of them turned toward me at the same time. They didn't rush. They didn't charge. They simply floated closer in eerie unison, gliding without disturbing the ground. The nearer they came, the more their surfaces shimmered, revealing shifting patterns like ripples across deep water. I stumbled backward toward my tent, but the hum suddenly cut off, leaving a silence so total it made my ears ring. One of the shapes reached the edge of my fire pit and lowered itself, folding in impossible angles until it hovered at eye level. It extended a limb toward me, not threateningly, but almost as if waiting, not offering anything, not asking anything, just waiting. The others remained still, surrounding the ridge in a silent, unmoving circle. I don't know what would have happened if I'd stayed frozen, but instinct kicked in. I grabbed my pack and ran, down the ridge, through the shrubs, leaping over stones until my lungs burned. I didn't stop until I reached a lower plateau where the air felt normal again. Only when I turned back did I see the ridge one last time. The shapes were all standing on it, perfectly still, facing me. The stones under them pulsed with a pale glow, matching the rhythm from earlier. Then, one by one, the shapes dissolved into thin trails of light that drifted upward and vanished into the dark sky. The ridge stopped humming. By morning, when I dared to return for my gear, the rocks were cold and silent. Nothing moved in the valley. But the ground still vibrated faintly, like a heartbeat buried deep beneath the earth, waiting for night to fall again.